Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the City Council. My name is Javier Morga, and I am here representing the Fire Department of Odessa, Texas. As you know, Odessa has been a city on the rise. In 2010, Odessa had 100,000 people population. I have outlined the map of what the city looked like back then. By the end of this year, Odessa will have grown to a population of 120,000. As you can see on this new map, the city has grown. This is a population growth of about 20%. I had the privilege of sitting down with Chief Fire Marshal Omar Galindo and talking about some of the needs of the fire department here in Odessa. What he came up with, that we need more code enforcers. So we talk about what are code enforcers. Well, we have to talk about the 3 E's. We have education, engineering, and enforcement. With education, that is a core activity of our fire department. We tend to try to go educate people from smoke detectors to fire extinguishers and how to properly put their car seats in their car where they're secure. With engineering eliminates risk. They develop codes, standard equipment, and they also have new construction techniques. On the last E, which is enforcement, this is where we go and we do inspections and we implement the rules and codes to the building.
How do you enforce these codes in our jurisdiction?
Well, the code enforcers that are qualified will go business to business annually. So since we have a lack of code enforcers, we have to prioritize from high risk to low risk. So what we do is they'll go and they'll check everything, and if codes are broken, we will give a warning, we will educate, we will give out a fine. And if it's bad enough, the building or structure will be closed.
How do you apply these codes to new and existing occupancies?
So we depend on the National Fire Code, the NFC, and our fire inspectors will inspect the same way every building regardless of the age of the structure.
Do we have local organizations that determine fire resistance of the building material?
So no, we don't have local people that do that. We depend on the architects and the engineers that are putting these plans together to implement the codes that are needed to be done properly.
What types of tests are used to determine fire ratings?
So again, we don't do that here, so we depend on the quality assurance inspectors, the QAI, to do, they inspect the materials and put it through tests. We also use the Underwriters Laboratories, as you may know it as UL. They've been around for about 100 years or a little bit more, and they help develop the standard codes.
How do fire tests and fire rating apply to inspection and code enforcement?
So the way this happens is we look at what the building is going to be used for. We're going to see what size it is and what type of construction material is going to be used. For example, you wouldn't put codes on a daycare the same as you would a restaurant. They have different codes, so you have to follow those.
Can you identify characteristics of unsafe structures as they relate to code requirements?
So around here, we really don't have structure characteristics that are unsafe. We tend to find more violations inside the building than on the structure itself. One concern that we do have is the last 2 years we have had a lot of earthquakes in the Permian Basin. These are caused by fracking and by water injection. And if we continue to see these earthquakes rise on the Richter scale, we're afraid that it's going to compromise the foundations and the structures itself.
Can you explain the building construction types that poses the biggest hazard for fire spread or conflagration?
So here in West Texas, we're pretty flat and we don't have trees. So what causes the most threat are the buildings or structures that are made out of complete wood, which we tend to not see anymore. Those were mostly built in the early 1900s. So this is why I come before you to tell you the importance of having more code enforcers. With all the new construction and residential buildings, we must be able to visit these sites to make sure that they're following code. With the rapid growth of makeshift homes also in West Odessa, we see that flyers and commercials are just not reaching the people, and they are not using code when building these things. Right now, we rely a lot on third-party inspectors to do our job, and we would like to take that out of their hands and get our own people. Thank you very much.